There's over 150 community groups in the area. We are just one group, we're called Renew Brighton, and what we do is facilitate collective action in New Brighton. So we haven't been elected, we can't say that we're representative because we're not.
There are some of us who have the opportunity to speak to Generate and Development Christchurch and the Christchurch City Council, but we don't represent all of the 17,000 people here in our community. New Brighton is massively engaged.
Yeah, I reckon it's one of the most engaged communities in the city and has a lot of issues to deal with and a lot of decisions to be made. The agencies that are coming out here post-earthquake, so Development Christchurch and Regenerate Christchurch, have the willingness. We can see it, we can feel it from them, that they're really keen and they really want to do a good job. They want to get the community on side. And they want to get the community activated and energised. So I guess it's just about how you have the conversation. And now's a really unique time because we've had sort of about 30 years of economic decline. New Brighton used to be the only place you could shop on a Saturday, and when that was introduced countrywide, New Brighton lost its economic edge, I guess, and so sort of been in decline since then. But we've also had so many things happen to us post-earthquake. We've had school closures. If you look at New Brighton on a map, you'll see that it's at the end of the huge red zone, so we don't know what's going to happen in the red zone and we don't know what's going to therefore happen in New Brighton.
There's a risk in the agencies that are out here ready to engage with us doing something before they have really had a robust conversation with enough people to represent our community's values and needs. There's a real risk that this engaged potential that we have becomes disillusioned, and to some extent that's already happened with engagements that have happened in the past.
You know, I think people in New Brighton have for years wanted stuff to happen and are frustrated that things aren't. So I think that there's a risk that decision makers will jump in and start doing stuff, and I understand that fear.
We get the impression that at least one of the agencies has been mandated to hurry, and that's a bit of a concern for us. For the reasons we've stated, the risk is that rushing in and delivering something without checking that it's needed.
It's really about the conversation. Yeah, I think that you have to start with those relationships.
The big challenge is, how do we do this? And we don't know the answer, but we do know that there are some great examples of where this has worked elsewhere. So those are possibilities, and they may not be the way that we end up doing it in our community, but looking at the how is the next step. That's the big thing we need to do.
In Melbourne, what the City Council does there is they find a jury of people. So I think they use the electoral roll to decide. They get 40 people together, and those 40 people are resourced to make decisions about where the city's money goes. And they think that 40 is kind of a number that can represent all the different genders, ethnicities, all that kind of thing. So I mean, that's how our justice system works. We believe in juries there. And I mean, I'd imagine that those 40 people then go home really, really activated. They know exactly what's happening in their city. They feel empowered.
Community boards are another one of the pathways that we can communicate to the council through.
The community boards are full of really well-meaning people. They really care. But I would say that they don't have a lot of real power. They can't influence a lot of the decisions that influence our lives out here.
I think there is limited scope. There has been limited scope for community boards to assist us. However, our community board has assisted us with funding.
And there's lots of different models for having community boards. In Seattle, they've got smaller areas than what we currently do in Christchurch, and those smaller areas have existing community leaders on them. So people like the police or school principals, people that are connecting with the community already.
There's so much potential here because we're already making stuff happen. So the possibilities are exponential if we can actually combine in a useful way with the agencies that are out there ready to connect.
It's going to depend on lots of things. We can't just transpose a model from somewhere else and expect it to work here. But I do know that it can happen. I think that there is hope. People here are so engaged, and we've seen it work in other parts of the world. So it can happen. It's just about finding the right way.